to everyone out there, and welcome to the MSP Revenue Playbook. Whether this is your first time joining us or you're returning from previous session, we want to say thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for getting educated and letting us learn from you. My name is Adam Nelson. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Sybil Consulting Group and your host for today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask via the chat. We have people ready to answer. And we can always, if you have something special you want to ask one of the speakers, just send it out there and we will get that in front of them as well. The MSP Revenue Playbook webinar series is designed to help you boost your revenue through strategies and innovative tools, ultimately transforming how you generate leads and close sales. This is a multi-series webinar, with each one building on the rest. So if you've not gone back and watched the previous one, you should go do that. It's extremely educational and you will get something out of it. This particular one is called Crafting Proposals that Win in Minutes, Not Days. And this is a panel discussion. So it's going to be done up a little bit different. Panel discussion is with Pete Evans. He's a managing director of Ventos Sales. Pete has been in the business for over 30 years. He has 30 years experience across corporate platforms, consulting roles. He's basically an expert in sales, and he's passionate about helping businesses achieve sustainable growth. And then joining us in the discussion will be John Hill. He is a sales author. He's a sales consultant. He's a sales trainer. He's taught founders. He's taught teams. He's taught your brother and your cousin. I mean, he's just out there teaching everybody, and he has a trusted way of doing it. And I believe it's called Sherpa, if I've said that right. If I've said it wrong, I'm sure he will let us know. And so that is his process. Rounding out the end of the panel discussion, we are going to hear from Nelson Anthony, a man with two first names. He is account director for Zomentum, and he is an amazing individual with 12 years experience of driving revenue in the SaaS world. You're going to want to hear what he has to say. He's a very smart guy. So let's get started with the panel discussion. John, Pete, how are you guys doing today?
I'll let John go first.
I was going to let you go first.
Okay,
you got a decade on me.
Yeah, I'm dialing in from the north of England, so it's 9 a.m. here. It's definitely beer or wine o'clock, or I've got a glass of water in my hand, and really looking forward to the discussion with John. I think we're going to have a great debate. John and I know each other, and I think we share some similar values and thoughts on putting proposals together. So hopefully everybody who attends are going to get, at least one nugget from John this evening.
Awesome.
Pete, you're just too nice, dude.
Yeah.
One nugget from John.
Yeah.
My name is John Hill, everybody. I am in Fort Worth, Texas, just outside of Dallas. It is 3 o'clock here, so not beard 30 yet, but we're getting there. And Pete and I are friends, have had a couple of conversations, and thanks to Adam and to Nancy for, asking us both to be here and to come in and chime in and rant and shout about proposals for a little bit and hopefully help you guys out. So I'm very excited to dig in.
Awesome, guys. Well, listen, let's start off with a question to John, just for fun. Are you ready?
I hope. Let's go.
Okay. In the context of crafting proposals that win in minutes, how much of that is determined before the proposal is ever written?
Oh, well, I mean, if my job is to show you the thing that you want, okay, how likely am I to be able to even know what you want if we don't have a conversation about it? Right? And the problem with the sales stigma is very real, right? They don't like us, they're scared of us, they're nervous about us, they're very concerned that they're going to wake up from a trance and have bought a Lamborghini that they can't afford or something else like this, right? Like, it's very real. It doesn't make any sense, but it's very true. Okay. So what that means is when they're in a conversation with you, we have to be skeptical enough that we're probing for clarity. We're looking for truth. We're looking for the things that they're actually interested in. Because when you can put those into your proposal, you're speaking directly to them. Okay. One of the things that I see, and I'm actually working with an MSP right now to bring them a salesperson, because last year the president spent all of his time and all of his effort trying to create a super polished, super easy, streamlined, one button proposal process. Okay. And it's very streamlined. He was able to crank out a bunch of proposals. He did not like his conversion rate, right? Because he's swinging and guessing at what is important to these people, as opposed to slowing it down and having the real conversation. So personal belief, you shouldn't be doing any proposals until you have the real conversation about their real gaps and challenges.
That's good. That's good. So still make it personalized is what you're saying.
Oh, it has, I mean, that's really honestly the problem, because when most people, I think when they start thinking about like, hey, how do we improve our proposal flow, right? It's all around the branding and the marketing, and let's add our cool colors and let's design the thing out of this and everything. And they're moving in this direction of making all these big assumptions about these things, right? And it's a pretty small jump from like, well, now we've got this very cool design layout. Let's just go ahead and put the words into this thing, right? Because we're smart. We know what people want. We've been doing this for a while. And it's just very easy to create a bad game of telephone because you're not actually talking to these people. So it has to be personalized, and it can't be if you're making a bunch of assumptions and guesses because you took a 30,000-foot view because you did a 5-minute BANT style qualification needs assessment kind of conversation. It's got to be deeper than that.
Huh. Very good. Okay. Pete, well, I've got a question for you. We'll bring you
Sure,
on
yeah.
here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
What are the non-negotiable steps in a proposal creation process that allow for both speed and quality?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I really want to, I think, add to what John's said. I don't think you can build a proposal for speed and quality unless you've done great discovery. And again, I see this time and again working with clients where they're churning out quotes or proposals and they're not getting very high conversion rates, because what they've tried to do is, as John said, they've tried to automate it, put some great branding around it. And actually, it's down to very poor discovery is the reason why deals don't close. The investment of time in the discovery meeting with a potential client, whatever sector it is, and we've got experience of working with MSPs, manufacturing, engineering, tech, tech businesses, and this is a common problem. The salespeople or the people doing the selling, which could be the founder of a sort of startup or smaller business, they don't invest enough time in actually researching the prospects. And I think with AI and ChatGPT, you can do a lot of that research, and you can show up on a discovery meeting, whether it's on Zoom or Teams or face to face. You can show up being well prepared because you can find out about your prospects' competitors. You can find out some information about their financials. What their EBITDA is. Who the competition is. So you can. These days, it's a lot easier to do the research you need to stand out from the competition. And then I think, for me, sales is all about having a conversation, a quality conversation with somebody. But I think too often, even in the discovery meeting, and I was with a client today doing a remote workshop, and one of the things we were talking with the senior leadership team was about the fact that they're issuing all these quotations and they're only converting 10% of it. And what's happening is they're getting a lot of inbound inquiries from existing clients, but the salespeople are not doing great discovery. They're making assumptions, and then they're losing deals to the competition who are better prepared. And I think a great question to ask somebody when you book a meeting with somebody, which might be inbound, it might come from LinkedIn, it might come from a referral, is salespeople are what I call showing up and throwing up in the discovery meeting. So they've got as John said, they've already made an assumption the prospect is going to buy. So I think what it comes down to is saying, for example, Adam, hey, thank you very much for making the time to meet with me today. What I would like to do is I'd like to understand more about your business and to see whether what we offer is a great fit for your business. So if you can invest 30 to 40 minutes of your time answering some questions, that'd be great. And hey, if at the end of this call you decide that you're not a great fit for our business, and we'll shake hands and we'll keep in touch. But I think too many salespeople are trying to jump to the solution too quickly. So great, the non-negotiables are do great discovery. And the other non-negotiable is really listen to what the other person is saying. So many salespeople listen to respond because they're thinking, hey, John's just said this. Oh, well, that product we've got over there would be a real match for John. And I've solved this problem. And actually, John's about to say, hey, Pete, we've got a whole host of other problems. And because I'm not listening, I'm actually missing the lifetime value of that relationship. So I think it comes back to have a conversation, ask great questions. And one of my friends who's in the similar space to we are, he says it's about being curious. Be curious all the time. The more curious you are, the better the proposal will be.
100%.
But we've often heard curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah, and that's a great name for a band, and that was a band that I used to listen to when I was growing up. But actually, I don't think curiosity kills the sale. I think it demonstrates professionalism. Because there are many layers to the sale.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. I love this. Okay, but there's an interesting element here. Okay, because Pete is a natural conversationalist, I think, right? Based upon our conversations with him and everything, or my conversations with him, I see him to be a very natural conversationalist. Okay, I am an introverted nerd. Okay, I am more wired like the engineering type, the CPA, the engineer, the software developer than I am a salesperson on the personality side. Okay.
Yeah.
And whenever I was going to go seek out coaching help from a sales coach, I was going in there looking for tips, tricks, tactics, gimmicks, all of these things. And my coach was just trying to enable me to be a really good conversationalist, right? Because he had the same line. It's just a conversation. It's just a conversation, right? Well, I was trying to rush the first part of the conversation, the small talk, the rapport building, the trust building, because I was thinking I am here in sales training so that way I can be a sales machine and just keep it brass tacks. And one of the things that's super important to know is that if you start going down that path of trying to be the brass tacks business only, I don't want relationships, you're never going to find the volume you actually need. Okay. And this is important for this group of people here, right? Because this is MSP space, right? So a lot of engineering people, a lot of introverted subject matter experts, a lot of technical people and things like that. And so bear in mind that Pete is saying gold over here. Just make it a conversation. But you have to remember that you have to give in a conversation. You got to be present. You have to be active. You can't just be rushing through it, because that is what's going to make them feel like you weren't listening, which means that you're not even in consideration and you're the only person who doesn't know.
I love that. So I'm hearing something from both of you. One is be curious. Two is small talk matters.
So much more. Like in my coach, if he was here on this call, he's retired, right? If he was on this call, he would just be like so gleeful to hear me talk about these things, because I worked with him for 6 years, and for the first 2, he's like, hey, you should small talk, and I'm like, hey, you should just shut up and give me another trick, right? So like, I mean, he had to work for it, right? I'm a rigid guy, right? If I don't see value in the knowledge, I'm gonna make you earn it, right? And he was good enough coach that he actually made me earn it, and now I've had these changes, right? But if you're an introverted person, please don't go into it thinking that you can't bring your whole self. You're supposed to bring your whole self, right? This is my whole self. This nerdy guy wearing a shirt with bicycles on it and weird hair and beard and everything else like this. And now there's no pressure in my conversations. You know who you're getting. You either see value or you don't. And I don't have to chase anything. And I can then have the consistency I need. But you got to know who you are first, right? Because some of this stuff is going to be easier for you and some of it's going to be harder for you. And it's tied to your personality. If you're not aware of that, you're going to make up a lot of excuses about why you're not on the path you need to be on, right? Avoidance is very real in sales, and it's tied to our personality and our blind spots.
Can I add something to that Adam? So I do enjoy a good conversation. John's right. in the spectrum of introvert extrovert, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. But actually, at school, I was an extremely shy kid, and I certainly didn't run around the playground going, "When I grow up, I want to be in sales." You know,
Oh, so you
and
weren't going around being like, "Hey, is this fair? Is this fair
yeah,
that I get to be on the slide now and you get to wait?" You weren't doing that as a kid?
yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing which is really important is I, like a lot of people, I fell into sales by accident, and I went on a training course with a company that I joined for 3 weeks, and then I went back to the branch where I was placed, and after 3 days, I went to the branch manager and said, "I don't want this job in sales. I want to go back to working in HR and learning development." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Well, everybody else in this office is not like me. They're real extroverts." Anyway, I stuck with it, and I think I want to build on what John said. I think if you're more, well, whether you're introverted or extroverted, and this comes back to the what the topic is about, great proposals that win. The other thing that you've really got to do in selling, because lots of people in selling talk about them being professionals and elites. Yet most people involved in sales don't actually practice. So actually practice the questions you want to ask. So John's hit on something really relevant about building rapport and building rapport and trust. But if you're going to ask questions of people, about their personal life, make sure those questions are relevant. And these days, 99% of people you're going to meet with will have a social media presence, and the preferred social media channel for our business is LinkedIn. But quite a lot of people on LinkedIn actually have a list of their interests. So if they've got something that interests them, you can start the conversation and say, "Hey, Adam, it's great that you've agreed to meet with us today. Really looking forward to this meeting. Hey, when I was doing some preparation, I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you're a really avid soccer fan. What's your team? But you've got to practice these things, because it's like any skill. If you don't practice, it's not likely to come out very coherently, and you're likely to stumble over your words, and that's not going to build credibility. But I mean, like John, I think that people talk about natural born salespeople. I actually think sales is a process, and if you have a framework and you follow it consistently, that's going to get you closing deals in minutes rather than weeks.
Yeah. Very, very good. And you know what? I'm going to practice that right now in the next question that I asked John. So here we go. John, I know that you are the mountain man, given from your LinkedIn page and the images behind you.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this question. What's the right mindset for crafting a winning proposal in minutes? And how does a salesperson's confidence and belief in their solution translate to a proposal document itself?
Oh my gosh, that's a fantastic question. So for me, right, and bear in mind, guys, your motivations and your levers and the things that will make you push and go try new things are different. Okay. And so, and Pete is absolutely true. I just got to echo that really quick. Everyone wants to be the person who jumps that motorcycle off of the ramp, and they all think that they can do it. But like when you're on the top of the ramp on that motorcycle, are you still going to make it all the way down and hit the jump and hit the land? You're probably going to bail, right? That's why practice is so important. You do have to practice these things, right? And if you're going to do something that's tough, right? Like Pete said this beautiful thing in his role play that most people I think would probably miss in here. He says, "If we're not it, could you let me know?" Okay. And this is where intention and mindset really matters, because I have said a version of that line and I didn't mean it. And someone knew I didn't mean it and they ran over me with it, right? "You're not going to take my money, John?" Well, I don't know. We're not there yet, right? And then I'm all uncomfortable and everything because I wasn't practiced enough, because no one had ever called me on this empty worded technique that a coach had given me and told me to go use. And I was just trying to use it as a technique. There was no actual presence behind it. Okay. And so I have that mode, and I get to go back and I'm like, hey, like what happened? Right. And my coach is like, I know exactly what happened, you know? And I was like, what? And he was like, you'll figure it out. What do you think happened? And I'm guessing, is their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault, and everything. And he goes, no, I don't think it's any of those things. And he goes, did it sound like this? I might have to tell you no. I was like, no, that's not how I said it. And he was like,
Yeah.
then why'd you get that response? You know? And so when your mindset fundamentally matters, it is gonna completely color how you show up and take up the space. Okay. And I've been a poker player, and there's this really cool thing in poker. It's called tilt. And tilt means that you're emotionally invested. Okay. And it taints your thinking process. It taints all these kind of things. And you can be really tilted as a salesperson, right? Which just means that you're letting your emotions run you as opposed to being logical, following a process or a system and creating some gaps. But the best proposals, here's what you said the problem was, and here's how we're going to help, and here's the outcome of that. One of the things that happens a lot in the MSP space is because since everyone is so focused on the work and the goals and the depth of the work, we end up broadcasting just more work to our prospects, right? So we're going to come in, we're going to spend time, we're going to pour over everything. You're going to get this stack, you're going to get this tech, you're going to get all this beautiful stuff. And the other person is just like, I just want everything to work,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes what happens, right, depending upon your personality and how you're approaching the problem, the value that you think that you're providing in the form of your tech stack, the knowledge, your SOPs on your tickets and everything else like this, isn't the value that they actually care about, right? So what did you really want? What did you really need? What moves the needle for you? Okay. And if you're struggling with these ideas, your discovery was just not deep enough, right? Because you can take big swings at it. Well, here's what I think will happen if we do this work and we keep you safe. This thing will happen, this thing will happen, this thing will happen, uptime, growth. And they're like, I don't believe you, right? We didn't even potentially understand what they want from this thing. We might have overshot the mark. We might have been making it about something else entirely. Okay. But if I show up in my proposal stage, here's what the problems that we talked about. Here are the ways that I work through these problems. Here is the solutions, and here's how much it costs. My proposals are an email follow-up with like 3 to 5 bullet points on it. And at the bottom of it, it's like, this is what you said. Here's what I recommend. Here's how much it costs. Could you let me know if I should put this in a DocuSign and send it over? And because it's mapped to their actual problems and the things that they said, yeah, send it over. It's not even branded, guys. It's just a document, and it closes deals, right? Because I'm deep enough with them that they know from that conversation that I've been here before and I get it.
I love that. And that leads me to the next question, actually. Pete, this one you can
Yeah.
have. What are some strategies you've seen work well to make a proposal stand out from the competition, even when time is limited in creating it?
Well, I think John has articulated it very well in what he said, but I'm going to build on that. I think if you've got limited time, being able to replay to your prospects, or it could be an existing client where you're trying to get an upsell or increased share of wallet, when you can replay to the prospect what you've heard in that meeting in writing, and it demonstrates your understanding of their problem, that is the thing that's really going to win you the business, because that's going to differentiate yourself from 80% of the competition who are just showing up with their standard corporate slide deck that looks great. They've either got an internal marketing manager or they paid a marketing company agency to design it. I think just being able to replay, by the way, in their language, not your language, and I will use things in an email or a proposal, and currently our proposals are a series of slides, and I'm happy to share the framework with anybody that wants it, but it's very simple. This is your current situation. This is your problem. This is the impact of not taking any action, and that might be a financial implication. Okay. But if you can play those three things back quickly and say, hey, John, I sent you an email yesterday summarizing our meeting. Have you any feedback for me? And John goes, you really summarized our problem really well. Great. Would you like our help to solve that problem? And the other thing, which you've not got much time, and this comes back to discovery. In every discovery meeting at the end, if I think, if I've dug deep enough and I can see that they've got an emotional connection with the problem, because people buy for emotional reasons. They may have a problem, but it may not be their number one priority. And there's two great questions to ask at the end of a discovery meeting. One is to say, hey, John, I can clearly see, you've clearly articulated that there seems to be a challenge with growing sales in your business. Correct. And I'll say, just out of interest, what are the priorities have you got to solve in the business at the moment? Because then having the confidence to ask that question indicates whether growing sales or sorting out his IT infrastructure or sorting out his legal contracts is more important. And if John turns around and says, hey, it is a priority, but you know what? Our IT infrastructure is creaking, and that's where we're going to spend our money. I will then say to him, hey, it's been a great meeting. I love meeting you. But at this moment in time, you've just told me that sorting out your sales isn't your number one priority. That's one question to ask. If he turns around and says, increasing sales is a really top priority, I then say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to take action? And if John comes back and says anything less than an 8, I will say, hey, John, thank you very much. You've told me you're a 5. We only deal with people who are an 8. And often what I get back is, no, I'm an 8. I'll say, well, funny enough, 10 seconds ago, you said you were a 5. What I'm doing is, it's also okay to qualify people out, because why would I invest the time, even in like John's approach, which I really love, or our approach of putting a few slides together? It still takes me a bit of time to think about what's been said in the meeting, draft the email. It might take me 15, 20 minutes of thinking time. I'd rather have that 15 or 20 minutes focusing on somebody who is going to do business with us. And that is your way of success. But the other tip that I give, and it's slightly different to John's, what I say at the end of the meeting is, okay, I'm going to go away and prepare a proposal for you. Okay, that's an investment of our time in our business. So can we agree a time when I can follow up with you?
Oh,
because
God. Yeah, okay.
because get their commitment. Because what happens is, when you send, and I see this time and again, people sending quotations and proposing, say, well, did you get a commitment from the client? Because I said it's probably lost in their inbox somewhere. But if you get, what I say to people is, they say, well, send it through. And I'll say, how many emails do you get in a day? 100. Okay, so when are you going to find the time to read it? And what I do is I'll say, hey, I'm happy to send you the email, but let's block some time out when I can go through it with you. Because you're showing, if they've got a problem, help them solve it. That's the number one thing. And remember, my other tip is, the proposal is about them, not about you. Because actually, most people are not, and John articulates very well, most people are not interested in the features and benefits of your product. They are interested, can you solve the problem?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. Listen, I have one question left, and I would like you both to answer. So John, we'll let you answer first, and then we'll close with Pete. So if our audience could walk away with just one piece of information today to help their proposal process, to speed it up, one, and to let it win, I guess, be in the winning game. If they could walk away with one piece of advice, not 7, not 3, but one piece of advice to be able to do this, and they could start tomorrow morning, what would that one piece of advice be, John?
I'm so bad with the one piece of advice thing, right? Because it's my pet peeve with like social media and sales training and everything. Everyone's on LinkedIn. You only need one thing and it's sales success. Here, one thing.
This is a tough one.
This
Yeah,
like I have like 7 different things that are like competing for like which one is really the real thing.
You can give us a couple. It's fine. A
Okay.
couple's fine.
Spend the time to get radically clear on what should be in the no pile. Okay. Because one of the things that I see too many times, right? Founders, leadership people, presidents who are still doing selling, right? When it's the leadership person, they qualify deals out when it doesn't fit. Okay. And then they bring on a salesperson, and this happens like clockwork. Well, the salesperson is supposed to close all the deals. Okay. And then they go out and they close some of those deals, and they're bad fits. And then everyone is mad at the salesperson who only gets paid when the deals are closed and was told to go close every deal that came across the plate anyway, because we're really bad at knowledge transfer as human beings. Okay. And so the reason why I work in this space, B2B service driven companies, is around the idea that you have to have a relationship because service is unique and individual to every person on the planet. It's like spicy food. And while my wife loves jalapeno sauce, like Cholula, and I'm sweating over here. Okay. So it can't be the same for everybody, and that's okay. But spend the time with your team, right? Get your leadership together, get your marketing together, get your salespeople together, bring them in and educate everybody on this thing. And the easiest way to do, go back over your client books, every deal that you've closed, and think to yourselves, would I close them again? Would I still want to work with them? Would I want to renew their contract? Right. And if you're feeling no, if your gut kind of moves over here this way towards no and not this way towards yes, okay, why? Well, they're a struggle. They're a problem. They're needy. They're that pain in the butt client or whatever it is. Okay, great. Go get clarity on that thing and then make it okay for those people to be those people. They just don't need to be in your stable, right? Find the way to put it down so that way you can save the time, so that way you have enough time to develop the relationships with the people who want what you got. But it has to start with really, really drawing a deep line in the sand. These are not fits. Don't waste your time. Find the no as soon as possible. So that way you've got more time to work these opportunities over here. But you got to have a no pile, or else your salespeople are going to feel driven to try to close everything, good, bad, or otherwise.
Very good. Okay. Pete, you're up next.
Okay, my number one tip is and it's building on what John said about no's. Be constantly trying to qualify out the prospect, or if it's an existing client you're wanting to upsell to, be constantly thinking, is this the right fit? You know, be ruthless with your qualification. It's okay to turn around and say, hey, at this moment in time, Adam, you're not a good fit for our business. We're not a good fit for you at this moment in time, because things change. So treat people with respect, because it could be that they just don't have enough cash to invest you, and there could be somebody else who can provide that service who's a better fit. Or always seek to help people. You know, I think it's about being honest and acting with integrity. When you're constantly trying to qualify people, when I'm in a discovery meeting, or even if we get to presentation stage, I'm always thinking I need to ask this other question. I want to make sure they are really culturally a good fit. And my other tip, I can give a second one, is listen for the signs. Because if you listen for the signs and you haven't listened for them, they will come back to haunt you when you take on board that client. You know, so why do it? And this comes back to listening skills. And I had this a few weeks ago when a prospective client who we were really keen to work with, during the presentation, asked a question, and the question was something along these lines. How flexible can you be with your payment terms? And I just let it go and I noted it down. 5 minutes later, I came back and said, Mr. Prospect, there are a few things you said that I just want to dig a bit deeper on. When you said flexibility on payment terms, exactly what did you mean?
Yes.
Because actually what I'm thinking is, we're about to take on a client, and then they asked a question about being contactable. And I came back to them and I said, what do you mean by being contactable? And they said, well, you know, if we've got a sales problem on Friday evening at 9 o'clock, I might want to ring you. Now, I love what I do, but I choose where I spend my time.
Yeah.
So listening is key to this.
Very
Can
good.
can I
Very
add on
good.
one thing just real quick? Because
Go ahead, John.
I
Go
don't want
ahead.
to I don't want to create too much dissonance and not give people a way to help, okay? So there is a moment in time, okay, when you're trying to go in this differentiation way, okay? It's focusing, it's niching, it's diving for depth, not trying to be a mile wide and an inch deep. It's the opposite of that, okay? Now, what's going to happen is that when you get really clear on the pain, problems, gaps, and challenges that create the best clients for you, and you figure out how to workshop those into pain probe questions, that's what Pete and I are really good at and why we get paid the mediocre dollars. You then can go out and you can try and you can do these things, okay? But what's going to happen is you're going to have to workshop these probes, these ideas, these questions, these concerns. And in the beginning, they might not actually be making contact with the other person because it's kind of like comedy, it's like improv in the fact that the audience has to be there with you, okay? And so what that means is that you might have decided with your team that the reason why people like you is because you're small, you have, which leads to great white glove service, and you've got 99% uptime, and that's why people stay with you. Okay. So if I'm then going out and I'm trying to find my people, I'm going to be looking for problems, pains, gaps, and challenges around these areas. Okay, to see if there's alignment between their problems and my solutions. Now, what's going to happen sometimes is because these are new ideas and you're not very practiced yet, you're trying to figure it out and everything, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. And you're going to feel like sometimes you're not going to make a connection in the conversation, right? And here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you one technique, okay? When you're trying to figure out what is going to resonate with your best clients so you find more of them, and you're trying things and it's not working, what I want you to do is I want you to fall on the sword, okay? And here's how it sounds. And this works for me all the time, okay? Pete, we've had this really cool conversation and it does sound like you're going through some challenges and everything, but if I can be really honest with you, you don't really seem to be having the challenges that people are normally looking to me for help with. And maybe I'm just off. Am I missing something? Okay. This is a moment of absolute surrender, y'all. Okay. And it's hard to do. It's hard to have the ability to do it because it's easy to bail on one of these things. But if you can do that after making some good attempts, like, hey, how's your uptime? How important is service to you? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, cool. Great. You might not need us then. Am I missing something? And in that moment, if you have it and you can do it well, that's where it shows up if you've not been able to find it. But you got to give it all up. You got to give them complete control, complete surrender on your way out the door because you tried, you attempted, you quested, you searched, you were curious and skeptical. Nothing is resonating. Adam, I can get out of your hair, man. It doesn't sound like you're looking for consultative salespeople. Maybe I'm missing something. Can you help me out or should I go? If there's anything there, we're going to get to clarity right there in that moment. And then I know where I'm at, but I got to give it up. Okay. And so it's one of these things that when you niche and you're going down, there is concern of like, oh my God, we're going to say no to business, right? You're allowed to say yes to whatever business comes across your plate. Okay. But when we're marketing and we're searching for our best clients, we're going with the best opportunities possible for people who stay with us because if they're staying, we got to be doing something right. Does that help? Does that help
Yeah,
there?
yeah, that's some good stuff. And now you know, Nelson gets to take over and lead the charge. Nelson, are you going to be able to do this, right?
Well, it's my first time speaking at a webinar, so yeah, I'll try my best. But yeah, really good questions, Adam and John and Pete. Thanks for kind of adding your insights here, right? Now, so my name is Nelson Anthony, which is again, that's where me and Adam meet, right? I'm with Zomentum for quite some time, old enough to say that I've almost onboarded about 2,000 MSPs in a span of about 4.5, 5 years, right? Really enjoy working here. Now, what Zomentum is, I mean, I'll simplify the definition, right? It's that one proposal, a builder, which you should have had 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And I'll show you the reason why, right? Let me quickly share my screen.
You should have access.
Now, yes. So this is where Zomentum comes into play to kind of help you to streamline all of your sales related processes, right? Now, the main thing what we do is to help you to create better looking quotes, proposals, and stuff like that, right? So I can simply go ahead, go to the document section, head over an opportunity that I'm working on. So for example, if I'm looking at managed service as an opportunity, I can directly go ahead and create a proposal here, right? And I don't have to kind of keep repeating the proposals that I've done in the past. I can always save a template that has helped me win a client, so that I can repeat that in that same process all over again, and almost save 80% of my time in which involves into creating processes. So a typical MSP right now, you might be investing about 4 to 5 hours, 6 hours in creating a proposal. But with Zomentum, you can just replicate a certain proposal and then cut that entire time down to hardly 20 minutes, right? And you can have blocks here, drag and drop functionalities using which you can add content inside of the document, right? You have merge tags, which helps you to capture your customers or clients' details automatically without you having to kind of miss that out anymore, right? You can also embed videos. So you embed videos, and you can also kind of send this over to your client and make this as a microsite wherein you and your client can have an interactive session to kind of make changes on the document, right? So this is a live document. Any changes that you can make that you make, it's instantly updated and shown to your client as well, right? And yes, as John mentioned, no more DocuSign, right? So we have an inbuilt e-signature platform which allows you to kind of get your signatures done from your clients as well, right? You can also, when you look at a certain product, so I can go ahead and add a product here, right? And you can also track your markups and margin percentages on the entire quote line items that you added to your on a quote, right? I don't see why that's taking time, but let's select a certain product and add it to the quote. And when I click on this document summary here, on the right hand side, I get a section summary, right, about what's of all the commercials that's involved, like what's the margin that I'm making, what's the commission that's involved. And on the entire document, I get to see as to what's involved in terms of the numbers on that particular document, right? Now, I can basically go ahead and add approval workflow. So let's just say if you're a team of more than 5, right? And internally, you might need some approvals wherein somebody at a manager level or an admin level has to approve a certain document, right? I can simply go ahead and add a condition saying that, let's just say, this is just for an example here. Let's say if a grand total is more than, let's say, £10,000, right? You want somebody internally to approve the document. So that could be either your admin or a manager who can approve it, right? So to simplify it, right? See, Zomentum is a sales CRM / a quoting or a proposal building solution, and also a payment gateway. So that's the next webinar that we have called seamless contracting and payment automation, right? That I would invite all of you to be a part of it, is because that helps you to collect payments at a really minimal rates. So yeah, Adam, I think that's over to you. Any other
Yeah, and that is scheduled for 2 weeks from today. You know what? I'm going to push the poll. Maybe. There we go. The poll should be available for everybody. Let me know if it's not. Oh, there it is. Somebody filled something out. So yeah, it must be. Can everybody see that? Pete, John, can you guys see the poll?
Yeah.
Okay. Give a minute for everybody to answer. And if you have any comments, Nelson, John, or Pete, if you have any comments regarding any of these, I would love to hear your feedback. Like if you're shocked about the numbers, if you think the numbers are good or about average, let me hear your feedback.
as Nelson is going
Yeah.
through the demo and talking about the tech and the tool and everything, like I have this moment of, trying to think about like, okay, great. If I was the buyer, right? Like what would make me very, very excited about this, right? And one of the things that I see a lot when it comes to scaling the sales team, right, is you need to either have some trust in those salespeople so that way they can coordinate pricing and figure out where to go and things like that. And a lot of people don't really trust their salespeople yet to bargain, to negotiate, to get the deal done the right way, right? And then what happens is the deal just elongates, right? Because I'm not actually able to accept your quote, accept your counter, accept your rate, and I can only give you this one rate because this is the rate that my boss gave me. I'm limited in how much value I can actually push in that conversation. Whereas this seems like it's giving more room for the salespeople in the sales team to grow, right? Because there's products in here and there's margin and there's rates, right? So there's more room for them to be thoughtful, right? Of how do we make this a good mutual deal? Good for them, fitting the budget, good for us, aligned with our opportunities, And I think when you're small, right, super easy to want to wing it, right? Like if you're selling as the founder, you're probably going to find some weird deals just in the middle of the conversation, okay? And if you're going to stay small, then maybe this is not that important. But if you're doing the bigger sales team route, right? Say you got some funding, right, and you're in a hurry, and you want to have a bigger team, I think this could be really, really cool to empower your people to have more room to drive more value in the conversation, which is important to buyers, right? No one wants to be on a call with a salesperson who can't actually do a deal, right? It's a huge waste of time. So giving more kind of room to the salespeople, but keeping it kind of contained and constrained so that way they're not potentially giving away the farm just to get a deal done, I think is a really cool way to give more room to the salespeople so that way they can show up and actually, own the role and own the outcomes. I think that's very cool.
So on the poll here, I wanted to ask John and Pete. It says, "What's the biggest challenge with proposals?" Okay, so most people's biggest challenge with proposals, it's tied actually. Too time consuming, one, and low conversion rates. And actually, Nelson, you might be able to help with that as well. But John, let's start with you first. On too time consuming. What do you think? How do you think somebody could speed that up?
I think this kind of comes back down to your intention, right? Like anytime I'm sweating a proposal, right? And like if I look back over my years of being in sales, anytime I'm sweating a proposal, it's because I know on some level I'm having to guess, right? I don't
Uh,
know enough about the problems, the challenges, the impacts of it, and stuff like this. And so then I am trying to manufacture this scaffolding, okay? And when you're new to sales and you're not really aware of, perceptions and reality and different thinking styles and stuff like this, you're not aware that anyone else is going to think about it probably any other way than you think about it, right? And so you go through making very big assumptions about businesses and stuff like that, right? And so with it being too time consuming, how much are you having to guess at what they really want? Because it shouldn't take that long if you know what they really want.
that's good.
I
Go
see.
ahead, Pete. Somebody was going to say something.
I want to build on what John said. I mean, listen, we as humans, we have lots of imperfections, so we don't get everything right 100% of the time. And what I like to think, and just below what John said, if you're trying to guess, and there are some gaps in terms of your discovery, that makes, however good the system is you've got for producing the proposals and your quotations, when you're guessing, that just takes it takes negative energy from you and your mindset. But what I found really work is if I'm starting to put a proposal together and I'm looking at my discovery meeting now to think, there's something missing here. Ring the prospect up and say, hey, I'm working on your proposal, and I just want to check. Listen, have you got 5 minutes? I just want to ask you some follow-up questions because I want to make sure that what we're proposing is a complete fit for your problem.
That's
And
good.
that will actually differentiate yourself, because what I don't want to do is show up for the next meeting and I haven't got it. We haven't got it right as a company. And you know, you will win so much trust and respect and credibility from your prospects when you do that.
And
100%.
I'm going to assume that that will also help in the low conversion rate as well.
Yes, yeah. And I think coming back to this low conversion rates, because the client I was with today, they've got a high value product, high value engineering product, and they are sending out a lot of quotes, and their conversion rate is 10%. Right, and that is really low. It's just what I call spray and pray or spray and hope. Right, that somebody's going to land. Actually, taking the time to understand your client, you use the technology to support the sale, but remember, you're still selling to humans. And when you've got a system like Zomentum and it looks great, Nelson. You know, and I think for the marketplace you target it's great. And I think, like John said, when he wanted to scale a sales force, having technology, but to get increased conversion rates, it's about the mindset of your salespeople, because there's so much technology out there now, tech stack that can support sales. People are forgetting they're stopping to invest in the skill set and the mindset of their people. And like John said, when I went into sales, I was so nervous about following up. Ringing people, ringing people. I had to go and practice in the bath. I had to look in the mirror in the bathroom, right? And then, and I'll share this with you because about conversion. So I worked in financial services in the UK, and my very first sale, I went to sell this couple a pension. They didn't have any retirement planning, and we got halfway through the meeting, and I had my framework, and the guy says, "Right, we'll go ahead." And I thought, nobody's trained me how to fill the paper. And I wasn't taking, because I was like going, no, you're not supposed to say that yet. It's another 30 minutes, right? And then I thought, nobody's trained me how to fill the paperwork in, right? And that was just probably lack of training and coaching. But the point I'm making is, you use the technology to support the sale. It's one part of it. And I think so many people go, well, we've invested in this technology stack, and our conversion rates are going down. So what they're doing is they're blaming the software rather than saying, well, actually, there's another factor to winning business, and it comes back to what John started out with. It's about having a conversation with somebody, because I might send a proposal to John, and John saying, that's not quite what I agreed. But if I've got the confidence of the salesperson, say, hey, John, you asked me to send the proposal. We booked in a call we've got this call scheduled. Can I ask, when you read through it, what were your initial, ask the prospect the question, what were your thoughts? Did it align with what your problem is? Because most people, when they get a sent proposal, and I do it, I look at the back page, how much is this going to cost me? And particularly if I think they're just trying to flog me a product and they haven't done great discovery, right? Because actually, if you can't articulate the problem, however great your solution is and however great your tech stack is, you're probably not going to win.
And going back just real quick, right? Because Pete made this big point earlier, right? And I just want to kind of lay this home for everyone here on this call today, right?
Yeah.
I would wager that if you didn't send the proposal just by itself, if you push for a conversation to align on that proposal, hey, here's the rough draft of this proposal. We'd like to go over it with you because I might have misheard some things and stuff like this. If you do that, okay, and you force a conversation just to check their temperature, make sure that everything is recapped and on the same page, and you don't try to just send it unmanned, your conversion rates will go up. I promise that they will, right? But it's one of those things you have to decide that. The hard thing about being an operations person, right, around when you're thinking about sales, right, is that when you're a C personality type, operations, technical and everything, you live in a world that is A plus B equals C 100% of the time. 1 + 1 = 2, okay? but sales doesn't work that way. Okay. It's a game of probabilities, right? So you have to be playing those probabilities. And so when you're looking at a deal, the best way to be thinking about it is like, okay, how do I up the probabilities? Okay. Because nothing never works, and nothing works 100% of the time in sales. You have to do the volume to figure out your benchmarks. Okay.
Yeah.
But no one wins by sending unmanned proposals at volume, guys. Like no one does, right? So while this technology is super great and it speeds up, use it to speed up the human. Don't try to replace the
Yeah.
human with this technology, because that leads to all the pain and the suffering that people have. I'm sending out all these proposals and no one's getting back to me, but I just sent it over. And there's a very
Yeah.
old sales line, right? Everything is fine in a conversation and people slow down when it hits the paperwork. Okay. So if you're not aware of this as a normal kind of like thing, and you're like, man, I had this really great conversation and now they're not getting back to me. Oh, did you forget that it's becoming real because you put it on paper? Right? Like that's a very real thing. And so send it with you, right? Take it with you. I want to go over this. I want to make sure that this is what you thought we were talking about, because sometimes I'm wrong, right? And if you can do that, your conversion rate will go up. I promise. I'll bet. You can have this shirt if you try that for a month and your conversion rate doesn't go up. Promise.
Yeah. One last point, and just building what John said, has been excellent, is often there are other people involved at your prospects, other people involved in the decision-making process. So in the discovery meeting, if you're gonna commit to doing a proposal, whether you're gonna put an email like John, or use some PowerPoint slides like me, or you're gonna use Nelson's great system, say, hey, who else? When we come back with our proposal to solve your problem, who else is going to be involved? Who you like to share it with? And say, and John might say, hey, Adam, our CFO, is going to be, will want to say, and I might say, hey, what's Adam like? He might say, pretty scary. He likes loads of detail. I'm already getting information. And another question to ask is, I might say, John, hey, the last time you ran something past Adam as the CFO, what was his reaction? Oh, he just booted me out of his office. He said it was far too expensive. Okay, John.
Yes.
So how about if we shape the proposal together before we present it to Adam together? Right, get your people on side, and that'll increase your conversion rates, because a lot of deals get stuck because people
get stuck at the financial
John, I
tier.
sent you that proposal 3 weeks ago, and he goes, yeah, well, the thing is, I've got to show it to Nelson, I've got to show it to Adam. Well, you didn't tell me there's anybody else involved.
Okay, listen.
You didn't ask. But anyway, that's my last tip.
Listen, guys, listen, it has been great. It has been great. We have 2 minutes left on this webinar, and we've got a hard stop. So everything we have learned from, I'm not in sales, but everything we've learned today from Pete and from John, combined with the tools that Zomentum offers with Nelson, maybe I'm ready to enter the sales world. I might be. And so, yeah, this might be something I'm ready to do. And thank you all for joining us today. Greatly appreciated. We're going to end the webinar now. And so we'll go on, and we'll see you on the next session.
Thank
Bye,
you very
guys.
much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.